Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Addis Dialogue. Today on the show, we're going to take a closer look at Ethiopia's ongoing quest to have access to the sea in a peaceful manner. We will also delve into some of the historical backgrounds, how Ethiopia once upon a time enjoyed unfettered access to the sea, and how, at a point in time, it forfeited its access to the sea, and how this East African country should reclaim its right to the sea in a peaceful and cooperative framework as per international law and regional cooperation. And to put all into perspectives, Dr. Ibrahim Mulushewa is joining me here in the studio. He's historian and political analyst, chief executive director at Center for National and Regional Integration. I am your host, Shifarao Lago. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me here.
As you know, in the past, Ethiopia used to enjoy unfettered access to the sea. Let's take a closer look at the historical background now. Could you walk me through, Dr. Ibrahim, some of the historical evidences and historical experiences clearly affirming that Ethiopia used to have long-standing right to the sea before its separation from Eritrea?
Yes, thank you very much. First, history is said to be connected with that of geography. Even geography is said to be a mother of history.
Yeah.
Therefore, we cannot separate history from geography. And any civilization developed in any part of the world that is has its own background in geography. Therefore, this geography where Ethiopia is found is also important for two factors which facilitate civilization. Two water areas. One is Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, and the other is the Nile River. You know, rivers are very important for the emergence of civilizations. Big civilizations are found emerged in the past in the areas where either river or ocean or sea are found. You know,
exactly.
We can talk of Assyrians, the Babylonians, or every civilization. Therefore, it is connected with that of Euphrates River, for example. Therefore, when it comes to East Africa, the Nile and that of the Red Sea are very important. This means let us talk about Aksumite civilization. Right. Aksumite civilization is also linked to that of Red Sea. You know, one of the ports of Aksum was Adolis, which is known for access to the sea for the Aksumite civilization.
Right.
Even once, you remember, in the 5th century, Caleb sent his troops to Yemen, crossing the Red Sea. You know, therefore, even the religions coming to Ethiopia can be taken as you know, coming through this sea. Our connection with
Yemen. It was
Yemen,
an important route.
Yes, our connection with Yemen is very much known, not only for transportation, also culture is imported, civilization is imported. You know, we were told that we have been even worshipping the same gods with that of Saudi Arabia, which is now called Yemen. You know, our also march to Yemen by the Aksumite king Caleb in the 5th century. Ethiopia, or at that time Aksum, controlled both sides of the sea.
Wow.
You know, now you know, even the story in the Quran about Abraha, who was Habasha, that is an Ethiopian ruler.
Wow.
Who ruled Yemen. And he is known for his adventures to Mecca. You know, he is from Ethiopia. Therefore, our civilization, when it comes to, for example, in the Middle Age, there were Muslim states of Shawa, Ifat. Their ports were Berbera. You know, this is Zaila. Now, in the Somali region, the center was just 70 kilometers from Addis Ababa. Therefore, we have been connected to that of the sea for centuries, and even when Turks came into the Red Sea area, the area they controlled was in Turkish called Habash Ialet. That means the province of the Habasha.
Wow.
It is in the Red Sea area. Even the name indicates that it was very much connected to that of Ethiopia. Even they named one of, you know, the Ottoman Empire is vast, and the last and the most remote of all that lands was in the Red Sea, and that Red Sea area, the Turks called it Habash Ialet. That means the province of Ethiopia, the province of Habasha. Therefore, when it comes to colonialism, you know, in the 19th century, especially the second half of the 19th century, you know, the Berlin Conference in 1884, when the Europeans came into Africa, their plan was to partition Africa among themselves. That is why they held the Berlin Conference, in which they discussed Africa and how to partition Africa and you know, having it for themselves. Therefore, they divided us in a matter of artificial border, in which their aim was, one of their aim was to control the coastal area of Africa. That is when Adwa came, you know. Okay. In 1896, there was a Battle of Adwa, in which Milik mobilized the people, the population, and also different Ethiopian states came together, fought against the Italians. They defeated the Italians at Adwa, but Menelik couldn't go beyond what is, we call it, Marab. After Marab, they conquered that area, and they just made Ethiopia to separate from its historical connection with that of the Red Sea. Okay. That was the first defeat. Then came the defeat of the Italians in 1941. Then one of the agenda was access to the sea. Ethiopia proposed that Eritrea should return to that of Ethiopia. Then in 1952, Haile Selassie was successful in convincing the great powers to agree with the Ethiopian plan to incorporate Eritrea into Ethiopia, and you know, the federation was established. It lasted for 10 years. In 1962, as we know, Eritrea was fully integrated into the Ethiopian state, and the federation, the collapse of the federation was an important aspect for uprising against the Ethiopian state. That collapse of federation may be taken as a mistake, in my opinion. But still, we shouldn't deny the fact that Eritrea was part of Ethiopia until the colonialists interfered. When we talk about Aksumite civilization, we talk about both Eritrea and northern Ethiopia. When we talk about the Muslim Sultanate of Ethiopia, we are talking about the Somali, the now Somali, and Ethiopia. Therefore, these people are connected. We are talking about the same people. You know, what is the difference between Eritreans and Ethiopians? What is the difference between Djiboutians and Ethiopians? What is the difference between Somalis and Ethiopians? Can anybody from the West distinguish between us, even physically, with that of Eritrea. Yes, I know that it is. We can be in different states with the same race, but still the historical connection. Then came what? There came in 1961 the collapse of the federation and the incorporation of Eritrea fully into the Ethiopian state apparatus. This created a problem, yes. Then the the Eritrean rebel groups fought against Ethiopia. Then in 1970s, the TPLF emerged, OLF emerged, many rebel groups, ethnic-based rebel groups came, and as we know, in 1991, EPRDF came into power. Then what happened is a referendum. Even at that time, many Ethiopians opposed that the Eritreans' aspiration for the statehood should be respected, but still Ethiopia's access to the sea was not to be denied, but it was a mistake by the then government, EPRDF, and they gave it without consulting the Ethiopian people. And we can see many newspapers at that time opposing that. We can see opposition parties opposing, denying Ethiopia of access to the sea, That is why it is always in our frame of mind that access to the sea, especially that sea, which is only 60 kilometers far away from us.
Right.
When others are coming to the Red Sea for enjoying their play, not their right, but enjoying the Red Sea for the purpose of military or economic activities.
Yes, given historical realities and also taking into consideration the dynamic geopolitical situation in the Horn of Africa, what are some of the possibilities that Ethiopia need to take up in order to come up with peaceful pursuits and also cooperative agreements in order to have a reliable access to a port as we speak? Because at some point in time, Ethiopia has lost its access all of a sudden. Now it is claiming to have access to the sea. It's reclaiming its history. So how should it approach this matter?
Okay, first, Ethiopia is demanding a peaceful resolution for its long-held intention of having access to the sea. And the Prime Minister, especially His Excellency's Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, clearly told the world that Ethiopia's intention is only to pursue its access to the sea intention by peaceful manner. And Ethiopia is not saying that I'm going to invade any country or infringe in the sovereignty of any country, but it should be known that Ethiopia is a prison of geography, and the Prime Minister is also, we can quote that, he's saying that we cannot maintain this prison forever, There must be a solution because we are with 130 million people. And comparing with, not only with our neighbors, but comparing it with other countries in Africa, we are the second largest population. Therefore, this much people cannot be contained, cannot be
imprisoned,
living under prison. What the Prime Minister called a prison of geography. We cannot maintain that, and sometimes explode. Which is dangerous for us as well as for our neighbors. And also, second, we are not talking about different people. We are talking about the Tigrayans in Eritrea and the Tigrayans in Ethiopia. We are talking about the Gambellas in Ethiopia and
Yes.
The same people in South Sudan. We are talking about the Ethiopian region of Somali, and we are talking about the Somalis. These are the same people. When you go to the border with Kenya, we are talking about the two Oromos, one on the Ethiopian side and the other on the side of Kenya.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's because of colonialism we separated from one another first, historically, when we talk about it from the vantage point of view history. But still, we are suffering also from lack of access to the sea. Our neighbors are also hosting other countries, thousands miles away from this geographical place. They came into Djibouti. How many countries are now basing militarily in Djibouti can be taken as an example. Why they are interested and why Ethiopia is not allowed to have its own military on the Red Sea. Why are we not allowed to enjoy access to the sea as other countries that are not even neighbors, that are not even around this East Africa or even North Africa, coming to enjoy their part in every aspect, from economy to military activities? We are not allowed to do so despite our being just 60 kilometers away. Therefore, it's our historical, and we have also navals just 30 years ago. We have naval forces there, but we were defeated because of our government itself 35 years ago. Yes, there is our mistake there in just denying ourselves of access to the sea. But we have to correct that mistake. Now, at that time, now the government and the people in Ethiopia believe that now we have to correct that historical mistake. But still, that historical mistake can be corrected peacefully. And Ethiopia should be allowed to have access to the sea controlled by itself, because we are suffering. Our people are migrating to Europe through the same sea, and no one is protecting them. The drawing of many people in every month is there. We are already suffering from economically, and also we have a problem with security. Those countries that take Ethiopia as an enemy are now in the Red Sea areas, coming, send their military troops, and Ethiopia cannot sit idly and see all these theaters are happening.
Yes, I think it's logical.
Yes.
Many say that access to the sea for Ethiopia is existential, and many are calling it vital for its sovereignty, for its national development, and for the prosperity that it is undertaking. Why is access to the sea for Ethiopia so important at such a time as this?
Not only at this time, but access to the sea is very important, always. But our consciousness matters. We were denied, and we were made to believe that we cannot have an access to the sea for the last 35 years, which was a new phenomenon. During the Derg period, you cannot imagine that Ethiopia without its access to the sea. During the Haile Selassie period, no. That is why in 1941, when Italy left the area, Ethiopia was arguing in favor of having Eritrea to its side to be part of it. One of the most important reasons was access to the sea. That is why the international community at that time believed and was convinced to give Ethiopia its part, Eritrea. But you know, it is only for the last 35 years that we are denied. You know, I understand it was also during the Italian occupation of Eritrea, but that was occupation. Therefore, it is always important to have access to the sea from economic point of view. Countries with access to the sea and countries without access to the sea, their economy is, there is a gap, some 15 to 25% of gap in development.
Wow, that's huge.
Yes, huge. Even GDP is very much different from our GDP. I think 25% difference. If we have the same level of development with a country which has access and the countries which has no access to the sea, there is a difference between, I think, 25, if I am not mistaken, 25 or 20% gap between them in development. Even foreign direct investment gap is very huge, 25 to 40%.
Wow.
Therefore, from the economic point of view, it is very important to have access to the sea. The second is security. If you are not to control the coastlines, you cannot control effectively the land. That is why items, including arms, are transported through the sea.
Right.
And if you are not on that sea, that means if you have no access to the sea, that means you are not secured.
Wow.
Your security is in danger, that means. So from the point of view of security, it's important. And also, if you just, you are denied your history. You know, you are leaving part of you and you are half. You cannot be full unless you ensure your access to the sea, especially Ethiopia. Ethiopian history, Ethiopian civilization. You cannot talk about Aksum without the port of Adonis. You cannot talk about the Islamic provinces, the Islamic principalities, Sultanate of Shawa, Sultanate of Ifat, without Zaila, without Barbara. You know, these civilizations are linked to that of the sea.
Yes.
Therefore, it is historically justifiable that Ethiopia should have access to the sea. But still, the emphasis is peaceful access to the sea.
Yes, peaceful and equitable, I think. So how can equitable access to the sea for Ethiopia contribute to the collective development, the economic integration, and the peaceful prosperity for the countries in the Horn of Africa?
Yes. First, that is why the logic of cooperation came. Ethiopia is demanding cooperation. Even it proposed to share its wealth, its institutions like Ethiopian Airlines, and also its like Ethio Teleco to be shared, and our neighbors to be shareholders. And also, you know, the GEARD, the Renaissance Dam we built is not only for our purpose, it's also for our neighbors. I think the Somali president was talking about this, the benefit of the GEARD. He said that GIRD is very beneficial for everyone. Therefore, even we can claim that we are givers, as the Prime Minister said. No country in the Horn of Africa which is not taking at least water from Ethiopia. Ethiopia's rivers are flowing from Ethiopia to our neighbors. We are already contributing. We are saying that a joint investment should be made in order to benefit all of us. But the contribution should not only be from us, but also we have to be allowed to have also our own share on the other side of
it. Should be mutual.
Yes, the mutual benefit we are aspiring is not harming anybody. Our neighbors should understand this. We are talking about the same people. Ethiopia, Djibouti, Eritrea, Somalia, even in other aspects, South Sudan, we are the same people. We have to come together by the scheme of integration. Integration is an idea promoted by African Union, regional integration. Ethiopia is serious about regional integration. Therefore, we have to be now given a chance, and our proposals should be taken seriously.
That's interesting. Let's also talk about the roles that different actors concerned should play, be it academia, the think tank, policymakers, and others, of course. So what are some of the roles that you see everyone concerned should play in order to support Ethiopia in its pursuit of peaceful access to the sea in a peaceful manner as per international law and regional cooperation?
Okay. First, GIRD symbolizes this all. We built it for 14 years by our own assets, by our own money, without the involvement of international funders. Therefore, the first thing we should do is to be united as Ethiopians. The second important aspect is, when it comes to access to the sea, is about consciousness, awareness to be created among the people.
Okay.
How awareness can be created, as you know, it is through discussion. How? It is through media like ETV, like your media and other medias, be it private or government, public. The other important point is knowing that it is a collective effort and a collective benefit we are going to have. Everybody should be active in promoting this as Ethiopians. If we are convinced as people, this much population, if we are convinced or convincing ourselves, I think half of the work is done. Therefore, we can have, an environment in which everybody to understand this. Therefore, our politicians, our journalists, activists, everywhere, our businessmen and diplomats should work together, shoulder to shoulder, in order to convince everybody this is the right first. Second, we have to work on diplomacy. Since we left the idea of access to the sea to others, since we were in a position for the last 35 years without talking about it, without even showing a slightest signs that we are to demand it, we just the matter 2 years ago. Therefore, relatively, it is a new idea. If we evaluate it from the last 3 decades,
Yeah.
therefore there are many confusions. There are many people who may question our intention.
Yeah.
Some connected is with infringing the sovereignty of our neighbors. Some may think that Ethiopia is aspiring for imperial period ambition of having every land for itself. We have to convince the world. We have to at least explain for our historical friends that we are doing something legal, we are doing something logical, we are doing something historically based. You know, therefore, diplomacy is very important. Our diplomats have a huge responsibility in explaining this for the international community. And also we have to be active in multilateral relationship. We are a member of BRICS. We have to use that forum for our ideas to spread. We have to convince important actors. You know, the Azerbaijan, the Kazakhstan landlocked countries forum, for example, it was a very important forum for our case to
experience sharing.
Yes, sharing. And also we have to endeavor, I don't know whether we are doing it, to work together with some of the landlocked countries in our areas also.
Yeah.
And also we have to show the world and our neighbors that it is for the benefit of everyone, including our neighbors and beyond, for Africa. It is an endeavor for self-reliance. It is an endeavor for our sovereignty.
Right.
And it's an endeavor for our existential, to avoid our existential threats. It's for the security of everyone. If Ethiopia is not secured, nobody in this area is secured. Even by the extension, nobody in Africa can be secured.
Interesting. Thank you so much for coming to our studio and giving us this wonderful idea. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for giving me this chance.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to today's deep dive into Ethiopia's quest to have access to the sea in a peaceful and cooperative manner with its coastal neighbors. A huge thank you to my guest today, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for you as well for having been with us so far. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's a goodbye from me, Shifa Radak.